everybody, so a new review for you guys today. We're talking about the latest A24 film, Midsommar. So this is Ari Aster's follow-up to Hereditary. Hereditary was quite a divisive film. Personally, I really enjoyed it, but I know a fair amount of people didn't. Most A24 films, especially their horror films, are quite divided. They do like to split the audiences. And I feel like this film also is going to split audiences. Because it's a very slow burn kind of film. It takes about the first hour or so developing these characters and getting us engrossed in the setting of this really creepy Swedish cult holding this festival. Even with the film being slow, it has a very entrancing quality to it. Like, it feels like you're being drawn in. It has like this euphoric drug kind of feel to it, which makes sense because most of the characters are high for long stretches of the film, so you kind of experience that with them. And it was definitely weird at first, but you kind of get used to it as the movie goes on, and it's kind of cool. One thing I definitely can praise is the visuals of the film because they look gorgeous. The cinematography and the way many scenes are shot in these beautiful fields in broad daylight, they're just beautiful to look at, which isn't something I'm used to saying in most horror films. One of the things that did leave me underwhelmed is the actual story to Midsommar, because I expected a whole lot more. Maybe my mind was just thinking up much more crazy stuff than I expected, but it just was a very simple story that we have seen before. It has very similar vibes to The Wicker Man when it comes to its creepy cult vibes, and there's a bear costume later on, but I'm not going to get into that because that's very spoiler heavy. But they both have a bear costume. And I just expected more. This film does deal with grief and relationships, which is to be expected because Ari Aster dealt with grief a lot in Hereditary as well. I feel like Hereditary dealt with the whole theme of grief much better. It was much more effective in that film compared to this one, because in this film, the whole idea and theme of, dealing with grief and all that, it's explored a little bit in the first hour, and then it kind of gets dropped once the crazy stuff starts happening. Florence Pugh, I definitely think, was a really great choice for the lead character. She's definitely a really great up-and-coming actress. I think this is her best performance to date, and it's probably award-worthy at the very least. She gives a really good performance. You can really see all the different emotions she's going through throughout the film really well, and it's very well conveyed. All the other characters, I felt they were kind of unlikable. I don't know if they were meant to be. Like, Jack Rayner was very unlikable. Will Poulter, he was kind of supposed to be the comedic relief, and sometimes he had some jokes that were pretty funny, but he kind of was just like the dumb kind of American character in a fish out of water setting. I like Will Poulter in a lot of things, but I think this wasn't one of the better roles for him. And like I said, this film is a slow burn, probably for the first good hour or so, but once that really first crazy moment happens, it's freaking nuts. I gotta say, it was just really just gross out, crazy, creepy stuff settled throughout the rest of the film's runtime. It pops up here and there. It's not like non-stop for the rest of the runtime, but it's frequent enough where it gets pretty creepy. It's definitely visually pretty gross, to the point where the people next to me in the theater actually all left. Once the first crazy moment happened in the film, all three of them got up and left and never returned. So I guess that was it for them. That first really crazy, gross moment you see in the film, once you see that moment, that's the moment where they all got up and left. Never came back. One thing I really do highly recommend is you look at all the different background paintings and all that stuff on the walls, because they'll help you gather more info on the story than what it tells you. It's one of those kind of movies where you gotta look at stuff and kind of process what's gonna happen because of those things, because they don't full out explain it to you. You gotta like get bits and pieces from these different paintings. And that could be kind of annoying to some people. It annoyed me to some degree in this film, but I did get, for the most part, all of them. But it's one of those movies on a second or third watch, you probably understand it more. Even though I thought the film could have been paced a little bit better, because this film is like 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is quite long for a horror film, I definitely think I could recommend this to a fair amount of people. I don't think I could recommend it to everyone. It's not one of those movies that the mass audiences is going to love. It's not the typical horror film like an Annabelle Comes Home, like a mainstream horror film. It's not like in that vein. It's definitely going to split audiences. I don't know if the main mass audiences are going to gravitate towards this as much, because it is a slow burn, really weird out there. But for the most part, I had fun with it. It wasn't as good as I was expecting, but I still had a fun time with it. If you go in with the right mindset, I think you get some enjoyment out of it. Especially if you're a fan of A24 films, I think you're going to like it to some degree. It depends on what your taste is when it comes to A24, especially with its horror films like The Witch and Hereditary and all them. But let me know in the comment section down below, what'd you think of Midsommar? If you've seen it, did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like Hereditary more? Did you like this more? Do you think they're about even? Let's all talk that stuff in the comment section down below. Leave the discussion going, because I like talking about all things movies here. But thanks so much for checking out that review for Midsommar. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. Hit that subscribe button so you can update with my movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.